Well, hello, it's Andy, your lonely libertarian citizen in California. I wanted to do a little video to discuss what I'm seeing out there today and what I'm hearing from people that I meet in the streets. And just about 15 minutes ago, I ran into a fella who worked in construction. He was maybe about 28, 29 years old, and he worked for a small construction company that was well defunct now. They had all the work dried up, and uh, he hasn't been able to find work. He told me that his unemployment benefits should have been extended, but when he went to talk about the extension and based on his time and all that kind of stuff, well, he spent 5 days on the phone trying to get through. Finally, got through to a woman who at the unemployment office at the EDD here in California. She hung up on him, just hung up, and he couldn't get her back on the line, couldn't get through. So he gave up on trying to get his unemployment benefits. But what he told me was about 4 months ago, his old boss called him up and he said, "Listen, I found something that I would be interested. I need a little more manpower. I need some people to help me out with it." But what he told me was, and they've already picked it clean apparently, but an old military reservation in California, and I won't say where, had a mine on it, and they had a lot of tailings from this mine, and they were mining for a certain metal. Well, this fella, his friend, his old boss, and his crew of guys, they spent time going through the tailings from this old mine looking for gold. And I don't know how they did it, what their methods were, but he told me that they have found a lot of gold in these old mine tailings, and they have been taking it to be assayed and whatnot, and they're gonna split the what they get for it. But he thinks it's maybe $150,000 worth of gold that they found in these old mine tailings. So there's something that you Americans can do. Uh, that's quite an angle, an old military reservation that had a mine on it, and the military's abandoned it, and it's still in government hands. And he said that what they get from it is theirs. At least they're not telling anybody where it is, I guess. But interesting story, to say the least. But what's more interesting to me is that he's been out of work for 13, going on 14 months now, in his construction business, and he actually did most of his work here in Ventura, in LA County, and from what he tells me, things were booming for him, and they were doing really well. And all of a sudden, it stopped on a dime, and they haven't found. The guy who owned the company lost everything. So maybe he'll get back from the gold that they found, but I don't know. So, anyways, I just wanted to leave that up for you. You may notice I went to a Civil War display recently at the LA, well, not at the Ventura Harbor, and they had a big cannon there, which I thought was really neat. And I don't know if I told you guys about it before, but it was they demonstrated the cannon, and it is really loud. It's constructor whatever you call it, reproduction of the original cannons that they used during the Civil War. And apparently there are three of them here in Ventura County, and they compete for them. And with them, they went down to El Centro, California, and had a big competition recently. And they came within 400 feet off their mark at 800 yards with this cannon. This thing can actually shoot a 10-pound bolt. It's kind of like a shell, 10-pound bolt, about 5 miles. So I thought that was kind of neat. But really incredibly loud. You don't. I wonder how anybody who during that time had any eardrums after they stood near that cannon. But I got this, the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, which is actually the first Navy Jack. This is the what our Navy, well, I shouldn't say our, but the Revolutionary War Continental Armies or Continental Navy flew during the Revolutionary War, and I thought I'd fly today because it looks like, I don't know, but I hear a lot of talk out there, people that are smart and know what's going on with the increasing the federal debt limit, people who see what's going on with regard to the numbers not being reported as they are. I mean, how can you lose 20,000 more jobs but see the unemployment rate go down by 9.7%? It tells me that they're not counting certain people, or somehow they're not counting certain people being in the labor force. I don't know, but for some reason it went down, and they haven't quite explained it there. And I would think that somehow the numbers are being massaged. So do not believe anything that you're hearing out there from our media elite and from our federal government. It is all bunk, and one day it will be debunked. Let's put it that way. It's very buggy what's going on with their systems. Their systems are very buggy. I mean, how can it be that people are being turned away for unemployment who deserve it, and you expect their numbers to be right? Doesn't make any sense to me, and it shouldn't make any sense to you. So do not believe they're all liars. What's going on with our government today? The people that run our government, they are liars, and they don't deserve our support. From my standpoint, the sooner we get rid of them, the sooner we throw them off our backs and throw their worthless money with it, the better off we'll be. We as a country have 300 million people in this country, and we do very well trading with ourselves. There's certainly no reason to be sending off our scrap metal to China. There's certainly no reason to be funding our enemies who own our debt with our dollars. We certainly don't need to be doing that. We don't need all this adventurism in our military. What we need is a very forceful Navy and a very, very quick reactionary force Army, and we need all those nuclear weapons to be secure, and that's all we need for a military. We do not need much more. In fact, we shouldn't be involved in all these other places that we're involved in. Let them figure out their own problems. You cannot bring people to liberty. It's impossible. People that want liberty have to get it for themselves. And this is the problem that has occurred for too long. We're funding all this. Let's bring liberty to them. We should be the shining sea, the shining light, the shining beacon on the hill. We should be the most liberal, libertarian, most liberty-minded country on earth, which have the lowest tax rates. And when you do that, and people see that the system works, guess what? They'll want it for themselves, and we won't have to pay for it. We can support them with our good warm wishes for them, good well wishes. So anyways, that's all I have for you today. Nothing more than that. Not anything to leave you with, but I wish everybody luck out there. And hey, get a flag like this and start telling people that you have one. Maybe it'll send a message. The American flag is only as good as the government it supports. And right now, that's not very good government. So think about that, people. Oh, what am I going to do a little later? If the rain clears up, I'll be playing tennis. And that's what thinking people do. Play tennis. And maybe golf. I don't know. So